Has anybody seen my brother? Does anybody know? I heard the moon is shining. Hi, I'm Harold Bell, and this is the Legends of Inside Sports and the Way We Were. Has anybody seen my brother? I'm talking about Jack Johnson, Paul Robeson, Joe Louis, Jackie Robinson, Red Auerbach, Walter Brown, and Muhammad Ali. They all went where there was no path and they left a trail. Racial politics is undermining the health and welfare of our country. It's diluting our educational system. It has invaded our schools. Nazi swastikas and ropes designed for lynching are being found in classrooms and dormitories to include daycare centers, elementary schools, middle and high schools, and on college campuses. Racial unrest is 40% higher than it was a year ago. It has been over a year since NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick first refused to stand for the national anthem, and hundreds of NFL players followed his lead after first-year President Donald Trump ill-advised NFL owners to fire the son of a bitches who didn't honor the flag. Where there has been a shout-out in the NFL, there has only been a slight whisper in the NBA. Last year's ESPN Awards showcased Carmelo Anthony, Chris Paul, Dwayne Wade, and LeBron James teaming up to use their star power to call for other athletes and celebrities to use their resources to make a difference in a divided America, plagued by gun violence, injustice, and racism. I attended the NBA home opener of the Washington Wizards against the Philadelphia 76ers. All was quiet as players stood for the national anthem and locked arms to show unity as a young black female teenager belted out the anthem without incident. In New Jersey, there was a surprise kneeling by recording artist 19-year-old Justine Skye after she sang the anthem at the home opener of the New Jersey Nets at Barclays Center. The NBA is 2 to 3 steps ahead of the NFL, Major League Baseball, and eons ahead of the National Hockey League when it comes to human and civil rights. Thanks to the late Red Auerbach and owner Walter Brown and San Antonio coach Greg Popovich, all men of goodwill. I recently had a problem with a scam taking place in the NBA involving an NBA outsider. He had written bad checks to a client relating to the Earl Lewis story, The First to Play. Since my name was connected to the documentary, I wrote a letter to alert San Antonio coach Greg Popovich because several of his players were involved in providing financial support to the project. I also alerted Commissioner Adam Silver. Silver responded by writing me back to acknowledge he had received my letter. The bad checks were eventually made good, thanks to a quiet assist by a veteran NBA writer. Racism is American as apple pie. There are some good white people, and not all black people are bad, as some would have you to believe. All we really have is prayer and the kindness and the goodwill of others to lean on. In a recent game, a National Hockey League black player, J.T. Brown, raised his fist in protest during the playing of the national anthem. I was not surprised to see and hear National Hockey League Commissioner Gary Bettman talking out of both sides of his mouth as it related to the young man raising his fist. Gary Bettman is a good old boy in every sense of the word. How do I know? Because I've been up close and personal with him. I met Bettman when he was the legal counsel in the NBA office in New York City in the 80s. I was the Nike rep, and John Phillips was the director of NBA promotions for Nike. We met with Bettman, former NBA player and vice president of basketball operations Ron Thorne, and head of security, a brother by the name of Horace Bonham, who's no longer with us. We were in New York City to discuss the rights of players and their freedom to participate in all-star games in their community during the off-season. Bettman's response was, "No way, we own the players." I asked him if the NBA was a plantation, and all hell broke loose. The meeting was adjourned, never to meet again. When he was named National Hockey League Commissioner, I knew black would not be one of his favorite colors. National Hockey League black players were fined, their mobility in the league limited with his term as commissioner. When it comes to racism, some things will never change, and Gary Bettman has not changed. Much like Kaepernick, J.T. Brown tried to explain raising his fist had nothing to do with the military and disrespecting the flag. It was about police brutality, racial injustice, and inequality in this country. No one was listening. Bettman's argument is that players should protest on their own time, not while at work. His claim that hockey is for everyone and it is politically a neutral league. He also claimed the league itself does not get involved with the use of politics. While he's making these claims, the Penguins had visited the White House and he insisted that the visit was non-political, despite President Trump's repeatedly using the National Hockey League as his poster child to attack the protesters in the National Football League. Talking out of both sides of your mouth. The same night that J.T. Brown was raising his fist in Tampa, the Calgary Flames were playing at the Saddle Dome in Calgary and supporting Bill Smith as a mayoral candidate on their message board. Who is fooling who? J.T. Brown stood with clenched fist alone. He's probably the only black, I'm sure, on the Tampa Bay roster. That took a lot of courage and nerve for him to stand up and do something like that. You know, black players make up only 5% of the league. And I'm just telling you people to keep J.T. Brown in prayer because he's going to need it with a commissioner like Gary Bettman. Val James was the first black American to play in the National Hockey League in the 80s. He was born in Florida and grew up on Long Island. He had short runs as an enforcer with the Buffalo Sabres and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Willie O'Ree was the first person of color to play in the National Hockey League in 1957, but he was born in Canada. Mike Mawson was drafted by the Washington Capitals in the second round in 1974, making him the second person of color to play in the National Hockey League, but he was born in Canada. Mike was a regular on Inside Sports, and he was a class act. Val James was an enforcer, but he had no defense for the racism he encountered among the fans and players. He was the American version of Jackie Robinson in the National Hockey League. The racist taunts were off the charts. He remembered fans throwing bananas on the ice and hung a monkey doll and a noose over the penalty box where he had to sit. One memory still lingers when a teenage kid showed up for one game with a watermelon, and he was proudly showing it to the CBS TV cameras, and the watermelon had Val James' name on it. This was the 80s, folks, and not in the 40s. When the injury forced Val into retirement, it took a decade before he could watch a game on television. He found the memories too painful. He has a book out titled The Val James Story, Black Ice. In the meantime, keep J.T. Brown in prayer because, like I said, he stands alone. You know, it gets worse. The Washington Nationals fired Dusty Baker, the only manager to lead the team to back-to-back division titles in the history of the franchise. He had a 2-year contract, and he proved improved each year on games won from the first year to the second year. And he won titles back to back. He won more games than any manager in the Nationals baseball history. The owners of the team, the learners in their farewell letter said, Dusty represented our club with class on and off the field of play. This was Dusty's situation in the final loss to Chicago. Check this out. In Game 5 at home, they needed a win. He had his best pitcher, Mike Scherzer, come in a relief role. But Max couldn't get anyone out. Still going into the ninth inning, the Nationals trailed 10-9 in the bottom of the ninth inning. 2 outs. Who would you want it back? Your best hitter, your slugger. None other than Bryce Harper. Bryce strikes out, swinging. And they released Dusty Baker. This is a guy who got them into the position to go to the World Series 2 straight years. And you fire him. The beat goes on, folks. The beat goes on. In 1970, I coined the phrase to close my sports talk show, Inside Sports. I said, every black face you see is not your brother, and every white face is not your enemy. And it still holds true in 2017 to some degree. But believe it at your own risk. I do. I'm Harold Bell for the Legends of Inside Sports, and you can color me gone until next time. Have a great, great day.